This is quite the warm welcome.
How is this possible?
Was this redemption?
You told us souls were decided, that nothing could change that. We trusted your word that this could never happen.
It can't. I have to commend Sera for having an open forum after she has possibly made a mistake. It takes a lot of personal responsibility to be able to say, I might have screwed up and I'm gonna let people discuss it with me. It is the worst thing to have that feeling of you might have made a choice that has really bad negative repercussions.
You, demon, how did you get here?
I don't...
How did you get here? You had to have forced your way in.
And that's the common thing, is you go through that bargaining and blame. It can't be me. I can't have made that mistake. Often our first defense mechanism is to blame everyone else around us. And it feels good to blame others, because if we're not blaming others, then we have to look at the possibility that we have made a mistake.
Was it the Morning Star? How did you get past the gate? Peter, did you let him in?
And for people in places of power, they often have people that are scapegoats that they can use underneath them to be able to take the fall for them. And that's the first thing that Sera does. Now, we can often throw blame to Sera, but this is something that people often do, that we all can do sometimes. And it's a really difficult thing to look at our own culpability in the actions that we take.
Sera, he didn't force his way in. We both saw it. He ascended. He was redeemed.
Don't say it, Emily. We need answers.
What happens, what do we do when we might have made a huge mistake? Something that you can't take back. It's very hard to deal with. It's something that people often come to therapy to be able to deal with. How do you cope when you come to the realization, or you might have the realization, that your actions might have caused huge repercussions that you can't take back? That kind of regret becomes a really difficult thing to be able to move on with.
Fine. Tell us. How did you get here, demon?
Sera, calm yourself.
When you get really, really upset, really agitated, you're not thinking very clearly. And so that voice of reason, if there's someone that you look up to and you respect and you feel safe enough to be able to listen, you can calm down and actually have your cognitive part of your brain be able to take over so you can hear what is in front of you. But that takes a ton of ego strength. If you've gone through a lot of judgment in your life, a lot of people that have always accused you, if that is your greatest fear, your fears of making a mistake, of failing, and the repercussions to that, this can sometimes be a step that is too much to take, that you may not be able to handle it. In therapy, that becomes often the journey to be able to realize what happened and to look at yourself in a way that is honest. A lot of times people think that therapy is about looking at yourself only in a positive light, but looking at yourself in a negative way and in too positive a way is both really damaging. And if you reflect on yourself without the skills that you actually have, you're going to make mistakes and continue to make the same mistakes in your life.
You acted selfless. You were able to atone. You are a cleansed soul.
And that tear shows her regret, that Sera was not a bad person. She was not going about this thinking that she was doing wrong, or even realizing that the thing that she was going about could actually harm people that could be redeemed. And that's what the problem is with black and white thinking that there's only one good or one bad. To be able to think maybe there's a different way, or maybe I made a mistake, can be really difficult for your mind, because if I made a mistake, then what other mistakes could have I made? Because if the rules are black and white, then I don't have to question what I'm doing, and questioning causes a lot more of overload to your system. So a lot of times when we're really stressed or upset or scared, we go back to black and white thinking. That's the way that people can control us, by making us feel scared, which makes us want to just go to black and white, good and bad, us and them.
Now heaven is in very real danger, and you...
Loot, this changes things.
It changes nothing!
This ends now. There will not be any more blood on my hands.
But
it has been decided.
It's another reason why it's good to have dissent in your group, to have people that will question you. It takes a ton of ego strength, though, to be questioned. And sometimes what happens is when you become a person in a place of power, such as what Sera's in, is that you end up keeping people around that are yes people, that will always agree with what you're doing. Because it feels better. If you actually want to do good, we need that questioning, that person that will tell us the truth even when we don't want to hear it, that person that actually cares about us, that isn't just going to say the things that make us feel good. But the problem is that when we're really upset, or if there's a lot of things on our mind, we might not have the strength or the mental load to be able to carry that. And we can fall into a trap of our own making.
I have sinned. I thought what I was doing was right for our people. But now I'm faced with knowing it was all.
Sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, or we're following a tenet that we think that we believe in, and then when we open up our eyes, we realize what we did wasn't what we had hoped for, or because of our actions, something horrible happened. And then what do you do with that knowledge? How do you go on? But a lot of times, what we actually do is a defense mechanism, is that we double down that we must be right. And then we deny all of the positives or all of those facts because it's so overwhelming for us. We might not have the ego strength, or we might not have the tools to be able to cope with any other possibility. For Sera, she really seems to want to take accountability for her actions, be able to be atoned for what she did. I think that she feels really bad about it. And so if you are able to carry that and I think that that's really healthy for all of us. I think that it gives us a humility to remember that we all can be wrong. Even if our intentions are good, we still might go about it in the wrong way. And if we can look back on all of us are fallible, all of us can make mistakes. Even those that are angelic could make mistakes, then so can we. And that allows us to be more forgiving and have more empathy for everyone else. We often can go to that place of being really accusatory and judge everyone that's around us, to be able to sit on a pedestal and look down at everyone that's there. And it often makes us feel good that we're a better person than everyone else. But that isn't accurate. Everyone can make mistakes. We all do. That's part of being human.
That this whole time, those souls could, with more faith in them, be good, be changed.
Sera.
What have I done?
For Sera, she's looking at all of these different dogmatic beliefs that she had. Then you start to question everything else in your life, that maybe you've done other things wrong. And the problem with when you go through the world with having this dogmatic set of belief is that when you question your dogma, then you have to go through all of the other parts of your belief system and re-question it. I actually think that that is exceptionally healthy, but it's also really hard to do, because that's accepting that you might have to change a lot of things, or you might have made a lot of mistakes. So what do you do when you have a whole system in place, such as Sera does, with people saying this is the one way, this is what you have to do, and you have all of these yes people that are saying that? I think that that's where reflection has to go into yourself. That's where journaling, looking at what you believe and why. But we need to start off with that thought of always questioning that perhaps I could be wrong, that if I flip the situation, would it be different? And look at the worst case scenarios. Often the best way to get out of a maze is look at the ending where you want to end up. And what are the costs involved in case you could be wrong? What is the cost to Sera if she goes against the rule, if she goes against the dogma? She could be thrown out of heaven, cast out, just like what happened to Lucifer. If you don't followed the rules, you could lose the people that you love, the family that you belong to. All of those outliers are also often looked at as pariahs. Systems that are very dogmatic want everyone to keep the same kind of culture and look and toe the line. And so for Sera, it's a huge cost to be able to go against the stream. I think that it takes a lot of strength of character to be able to do that. And those are the people that you want as your leaders, the people that can question and pivot. People talk about flip-flopping and changing. I think that that's actually really healthy. And we want to allow people that space to be able to question and grow, not have that gotcha and we're going to try to attack people for thinking a different way, learning and evolving. That's all a really important part of growing into yourself and remembering that you also have to be able to be accountable to yourself and feel comfortable with the choices that you've made. An easier thing to say than to do.
I don't know what to do. Thought I was righteously leading our people, but now I'm faced with the truth. What kind of leader can't tell good from evil? All those poor souls, how many could have been saved?
And I think that her statement is so very true. That thought that if one person could have been saved, then maybe all of the other people that she killed could have also been saved. What is redemption? What is atonement? Can you change? And yes, people can change. They can want to do different. We need to be able to allow that space. Now, are there limits to that behavior? Yes, there are probably very strong limits to that behavior as well. Certain things that you may not choose to forgive or forced to. But I think that we should all have that space to try to grow and be better people also. And often our society right now is just throwing people away, put people into boxes where they can't leave or we won't accept that their behaviors have changed. And so I think that it's a much more nuanced statement than just everyone can be saved and that everyone should be forgiven. So here she is standing in judgment of others when they've done horrible things right now. She's realizing that she is just as fallible as some of the people that she's placed in hell. She's also done those things as well. And that kind of reflection, when we realize that we are capable of horrible things, put into certain positions, they've gone through all kinds of psychological experiments where put into the right circumstances, most humans will also do really horrible things. I think that that's a really scary thing. Very few people can really take a look at our levels of humanity, and that depending on circumstances, rules that are around us, things that we believe, we also can make mistakes and do things that are really horrible. Maybe the entire system then is wrong. And that's why often you can't police your own system, because if something really bad is happening, often you will protect it instead of fixing it, because that takes too much work.
Mistaken consent. If I stand down and leave us exposed, would that be blind to the threat hell may pose?
And that's also what happens when you've made a mistake. Then sometimes you are going to try to find the answer from something else. You no longer trust yourself. You can also become too protectionistic. You're going to go way too far. The pendulum's going to swing too far in the other direction, and you're going to close off everything because something bad happened. And that's when anxiety can take over to try to protect things, but you can let that run your life and you can become too protective. You want to make things perfect because you believe that if it's perfect, then bad things can't happen. You try to control all of the variables, but unfortunately, control is an illusion, even in heaven.
It has been decided for everyone's safety
that heaven will be closed off from any other realms. This is for the good of heaven and will protect us all. Thank you.
And that can also be something that becomes damaging. It's hard to be able to assess things, especially for Sera. It's not a horrible thing to be able to give yourself some time to try to make a proper decision, to be able to look through things, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of that. Sometimes your anxiety, your need to control, it's just easier to control all the variables, to not let anything in, to be protectionistic, and to try to keep other information, other people outside of your realm so that you can control what's happening and how people think and what people do. You can't actually do that. It doesn't actually work. What happens is you create animosity and fear because of this itself. So sometimes the thing that you're trying to protect against still does the same mistake that you were making before. And so for Sera, I would actually say you want to journal it out. You want to go through the negative self-talk that you have, what you would do next time differently, because in the end, that's why you have those cycling thoughts, is that your brain wants you to learn and do better next time. Once you know what you would have done and how you could handle it, and what were those mistakes that you made, those cognitive biases, perhaps those assessments that you made that weren't accurate, you can do a better job the next time. A lot of times people come to me asking, what can they do to expand their mind? What can they do to learn a new skill? Brilliant.org offers classes where you can learn new skills in the comfort of your own home. The wonderful thing about learning something new is that it's really good for your brain. But not only is it good for your brain, but it makes you feel good. It stops you from feeling stuck because you have a new set of skills to look at and conquer the world with. Brilliant makes college level courses. Now, just because they're college level doesn't mean that they're difficult though, because you can cut down or ramp up these courses as you want. Each course is designed for high velocity learning. It helps you stay focused and reach your goals as quick as you wish. And Brilliant.org makes learning like a game, so it's much more fun. And when learning is fun, it sticks better and it's more enjoyable along the way. And the features that make it fun is you can challenge yourself, but you can also compete with others if you want, so it doesn't get boring, and it makes it more engaging. Brilliant has thousands of lessons: math, chemistry, physics, engineering, computer science, and a whole bunch of other ones. They have new lessons that are being added monthly. All you have to do is spend 15 minutes a day to expand your mind, and no one can tell me that they don't have 15 minutes, no matter how busy you are. You can even just do it in 5-minute chunks if you wanted to. They have challenging problem-solving exercises where you can construct those critical thinking skills that are so very important, especially in today's world. And my favorite part of the courses is that they're interactive. They have visuals that you can interact with. And for me, I am that visual, hands-on learner. I kind of tune out if someone's just prattling off information to me, but with Brilliant, it is interactive. So you get to engage, and when you engage, you learn faster. Whether you are 13 or 113, these courses are made for you. So you can just head on over to brilliant.org/GeorgiaDow, or click on the link, or of course scan the QR code if you so wish to get 20% off of an annual premium subscription for unlimited daily access to everything that Brilliant has to offer. So just click on the button on the screen or head on over to brilliant.org/GeorgiaDow. This really does help out my channel, so thank you so much to you and Brilliant for sponsoring this video. You can let me know what your thoughts are on Sera. And yes, I know, black wings, I lent out my white wings, so we're going with that for now. But you can let me know your thoughts, and if I should do Serpentius or Lute next, maybe someone else, you can let me know in the comments.